You are now listening to Playbook Radio. Here is your host, Martin Williams.
And welcome to Playbook Radio. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You may do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. All the links to the podcast can be found at gameplayandplaybook.com. That's gameplayandplaybook.com. So today what I wanted to talk to you about is writing new programs for your mind. So throughout this journey of podcasting and sharing these thoughts that I have with the world, one constant theme that I've had is this concept that we are running a mental program, and your mind has been programmed to perform the way that you're performing now. And so any area of your life, whether it's your work, school, business, whatever it is, there is a program that's running, okay? And it doesn't have to be a program that you chose. It doesn't have to be a program that you wrote. It doesn't have to be a program that you like, right? But there is a program running. For every area of your life, there's a program. And if you don't like the result, then it's your responsibility to change the program. Now, when you tell that to someone, the first thing people say is that, they think it's garbage or they think it's nonsense and they don't take it seriously. And obviously that's a mistake, because if you look at it from the standpoint of a computer, okay, let's say that you have a Mac and the last time you updated it was Mountain Lion, okay? So I'm going to Google the Mountain Lion operating system to show you how far back that goes. Okay, just give me 1 second. All right, so according to Wikipedia, that was released in 2012. So we're talking 12 years ago. So imagine if that's what your computer was running on. 9 times out of 10, your computer's probably not going to be running anything, right? Because of the way that Apple, makes their products. Once your computer dies, okay, the next computer that they make is not going to run that old operating system. And there are certain things that just get retired over time. It gets closed. And so, just imagine if you haven't updated your mental programming for the last 12 years. What do we have now that we didn't have 12 years ago on a widespread level, right? AI, social media has gotten immensely bigger in the last 12 years. We had social media, but not to this level, okay? Virtual reality, augmented reality, all these things have come on to the forefront in the last 12 years. So many, technological advances we have now, we didn't have 12 years ago. So if your mind is not keeping up, and just think about your industry, think about your field. If you're not keeping up with the things that have been invented or been developed over the last 12 years, then you're behind, okay? The world is continuing to move forward. The world is continuing to move in a forward direction. And if you don't change your thinking, if you don't change your mindset, if you don't reprogram your mind, you fall behind. And that's why it's important to not outsource the programming of your mind, because in a competitive landscape, in a competitive society, it is advantageous to have as many people as possible who can't keep up, right? Who can't operate, who can't succeed, right? It's advantageous. You can take advantage of them. You can keep them down. You can, have them struggle or allow them to struggle. So it's important that you take a direct interest in reprogramming your mind. And the way you reprogram your mind is that you have to install a program that creates a different result. So, let's say that you have to write a paper and you don't feel like writing the paper. You're bored, you get distracted, whatever the case may be. And you say to yourself, I got to write this paper, but I don't feel like writing it. Well, you may or may not feel like writing it, but that doesn't really matter because you got to write the paper, right? The paper's got to be written or you don't get a passing grade. So you got to write it. So what you do is that you tell the mind, it's like, I wrote this paper and I wrote this paper by 12 midnight and today's date, right? So that's a program. That's a quick program that you can write. And then you go over it over and over and over again. And then you sit and you wait. And then the inspiration will come. And sometimes it'll come almost immediately. But you'll have the inspiration to write the paper. You can do the same thing at work. If you're feeling kind of unmotivated at work or can't get going at work, then you got to write a program. Okay. And this is work, but it's worth it because it will essentially give your mind a direction. Your mind is just waiting to go in a direction. Your mind is waiting to do something. Okay. But far too often we don't give it directions. And so we just kind of spin our wheels. And, when you spin your wheels, if you had a car, you spin your wheels, eventually you wear down. And so many people wear down because they don't have a direction. They're not going anywhere. Okay. So you've got to write the programs for your mind. You've got to reprogram your mind. You've got to do it consistently because life is moving along. Things are developing at a faster pace than they've ever developed before. So you've got to stay on top of your mental framework and your mental makeup. You can't get lazy, right? If you feel like, you kind of observe things are not moving as fast as you'd like them to, if you're lazy, you got to be honest with yourself. Maybe you're not performing at the level that you could be. You're not getting as much done as you could be getting done. And I'm all for rest and I'm all for taking a break and making sure that you're, balancing out life. But if you got a goal, sometimes you got to hit it hard for a short-term period. But if you're not programming your mind to hit it hard, then if that's not your natural framework, if that's not your habitual makeup, if you're not doing those things on a consistent basis, then the mind's going to basically fall back to what it's always done. There's this saying in the training world, the physical training world, and not just physical training, but any sports coaching, any type of coaching really, that you rise and fall to the level of your training. Navy SEALs train at a higher level than, people who go to the gym, right? There's people who go to the gym that are in good shape, but are they in Navy SEAL shape? It's two different levels, right? Navy SEALs train at a higher level than your average person at the gym. Okay. So if you want to get to a higher level, you got to train at a higher level. And that starts with your mind. You got to train your mind to be elite. Okay. Most people are not elite by nature because they come from, average backgrounds, average households. It's not a slight to anybody, right? But unless you grew up with an Olympic champion or a Fortune 500 CEO or a Hollywood megastar, right? You probably didn't grow up around people who are elite in their field. Okay. So if you didn't grow up around people that were elite, then if you want to be elite, you've got to retrain your mind to produce elite results. So I'll get more into this, but I just want you to think about what are some ways that I can reprogram my mind. And I gave you a couple ways. You can reprogram your mind through affirmations. You can also reprogram your mind through audios. There's a ton of audios on YouTube. I have some audios on YouTube. I'll drop the link in the description. But you've got to reprogram your mind. If you don't do that, you're going to continue to reproduce the same results over and over again. And I don't want that for you. I don't want it for myself. So let's do better. My name is Martin Williams. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Playbook Radio. If this episode helped you, please share it with family and friends. For more about Playbook strategies, please go to GameplanPlaybook.com.